Beep.
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio in high fidelity.
Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter Podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter Podcast, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorta, and I'm here with my co-host, Ringside Robert, and England's adopted son, Joe Habib. And we have a great show for you today. And as always, you can catch us on the web at www.ringsidereporter.com. If you want to call and ask questions or just give your 2 cents, you can call in now at 323-870-3857. Hit option 1 if you want to talk to us. And we'll be here tonight till about 9:30 or so. Tonight, we're going to talk about the fall of the PBC. Spike TV cancels the PBC on their network. Is ESPN next to cancel it? Will they be on TV much longer? I don't know, man. Spike's a big one. Spike is a big one. Triple G is going to focus on Canelo Alvarez instead of Billy Joe Saunders. How about that? So instead of unifying the titles, I don't know. We'll see. And Robert, this was a shock to me. And I know it'll be a shock to you as it'll be a shock to all the listeners out there. Adrian Broner finds himself in the train wreck of the week this week. That never happens.
That's why we call it the Adrian Broner train wreck of the week.
But first, we get started with Ricky Burns versus Julius Indongo for the WBA IBF Junior Welterweight Championship. Julius Indongo completely dismantled Ricky Burns on his way to becoming the unified super lightweight champion of the world. The fight took place in Glasgow, Scotland, the hometown, right in his home, went to his crib and did him right there. The fight was one-sided, man, honestly, from beginning to end. Burns, let me tell you what, Burns showed a ton of heart in there. He was in front of his hometown. He tried his best. Indongo was just too much for him. The power, the length of Indongo really made the difference in this fight. Burns had trouble reaching Indongo, and when he did come in, he was just being tagged with power shots. Final scores of this bout were 120-108, 118-110, 116-112, all for Julius Indongo. I don't know for the life of me what fight the judge who gave him 116-112. Where did you find 4 rounds to give Indongo? Joe, you scored the fight a shutout, as did I. Could you find 4 rounds?
I was trying hard.
Burns?
I was trying hard to find a round I could give him, but I just couldn't do it. I just have my integrity, man. I couldn't do it. I would be embarrassed if giving him a round. And you know what? I was pulling for Ricky Burns. You know, I like Ricky Burns. Ricky Burns is definitely – he's just a great, great guy. And it's hard to not like that guy. And obviously, being analysts or, following the sport, we should be unbiased. And obviously, I am unbiased because I scored the fight a shutout. But, I was – secretly I wanted him to win the fight because, again, he's been in the game so long, hasn't made a ton of money, never really had that big money fight. And it would have been nice to see him get a victory. He's at the end of his career. Yeah. He's kind of turning the corner, so to speak. And I don't think there's too many fights left or too many big fights left for him. But, he just had a hard time dealing with the range, dealing with the height, the gangliness of Indongo. Indongo is just a machine in there. He's just a guy. He's a swarmer. But he's a controlled swarmer. He's definitely a good combination puncher. He's got balance. Doesn't just, swing for the fences. He puts the shots together, sets the shots up. Very nice. And he's got an outstanding right jab. Easy time controlling this fight virtually with this jab because everything just flowed off that jab, and Ricky Burns could not get close to him at all. And, for every punch that Ricky Burns tried to throw, Indongo came back with three or four, and sometimes even 5. So This was just a Ricky Burns who was outgunned, completely outgunned.
I agree with that. Let me ask you a question, and I mean, would you say this was the end of the road for Ricky Burns?
I can't see a junior welterweight out there or a top junior welterweight out there that he could probably beat. I just don't see it. So yes, I would have to say that it is the end of the road for him. But again, he's probably going to keep fighting because he has not made a ton of money in the sport. Just never had those big fights, those big money fights. Even though he's been a champion multiple times, he's just never had those big money fights.
Yeah.
Can you imagine he's a multiple weight champion, Ricky Burns? If there was ever an overachiever in boxing, definitely Ricky Burns is it. You can put him in there with Arturo Gatti, another guy who was a multiple weight champion. Guys who just got by on I'm not saying that he doesn't have any skill. Don't get me wrong. I think he's more skilled than Arturo Gatti. But when you look at top level fighters, you look at the Terrence Crawfords and even the Tim Bradleys that were in that weight class, Devin Alexander, another guy who was in that weight class. I don't think that Ricky Burns just has the natural talent that those guys had, the athletic ability that those guys had. And for him to get so far with so little, and I say that with all due respect, because the one great thing he had was his heart and his conditioning, and he just was not a superior talent in there, but he got a lot done with little, as I said, and that's just a testament to just how strong-willed this fighter is in Ricky Burns. I really admire the guy. I really do.
Yeah, very much, man.
I hate to keep bringing this guy up, but how far did Paulie get with what he had to offer? Wouldn't you put Ricky Burns in the same kind of category?
Well, Paulie had some skills. He just didn't have the punch, and he had some hand problems too. But yeah, it's a fair comparison, Robbie. It's a fair comparison.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
I mean, because I thought Paulie's a very skilled fighter, man.
Yeah, he's a very skilled fighter, but
very skilled, very schooled, very fast hands. Just didn't have a punch.
Yeah.
And that's due to hand issues, I mean,
he kept breaking his hands all the time too.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but I think,
Paulie was more skilled, no question. I would definitely say that.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is probably pretty much to me anyway. I don't want to see Burns out there again. I think he's had a good career. He's done a lot with what he has, and like you said, you say that with all due respect, but any version of Ricky Burns would have lost to Indongo. I mean, it's just
probably so. Yeah, this is just a horrible style matchup for him.
Yeah, I mean, this is bad. Yeah, Indongo is a handful for anybody.
Yeah,
and by
boxing, Eric, this is 2 fights in a row where Julius Indongo came out of nowhere and wasn't supposed to win either one. How far can this guy go now that he's accomplished 2 major upsets in a row?
He's TBE. He's TBE right now, And, I mean, he beat the man who beat the man. He beat the man who beat Cesar Cuenca. He beat Edward Troyanovsky, beat Cesar Cuenca. Hey, he's TBE now. So until somebody takes it away from him, he's the guy. So there you go. So let's talk about this now, because the interested party here now with the WBA and IBF is now Terrence Crawford, who has just was calling out the winner of the Burns Indongo fight. How does Burns match up, or how does Indongo rather match up against Crawford?
Like I was telling you earlier when we were talking about this fight, Indongo is definitely a tall, rangy guy, and he's a volume guy, and he's a swarmer. But that's the type of fighter that Crawford loves. He loves guys that are going to come at him. And if he's going to try to throw a lot of punches against Terrence Crawford, who is a master counterpuncher, I mean, obviously, we've seen him take it to guys too. But if you look at that Victor Postal fight, another tall, rangy guy who tried to, get off with the jab and tried to keep the fight at a distance. But, you saw when Crawford was able to do, he sucked him in to some counters, and he actually hurt him a few times, knocked him down. So, if Indongo, the way he fights, just seems to me like he's he puts his foot on the gas pedal and it's all systems go, he's going to take it to anyone. And he does work behind the jab, and he is a southpaw. But then again, Terence Crawford can switch southpaw too. He's very ambidextrous. He's very effective in the southpaw stance. So I just think that as good as Indongo looked against Ricky Burns, I think that Terence Crawford's a whole different animal. And, Terence Crawford has the ability to hurt a guy with either hand. And I think one punch could make Indongo not be so, volume puncher orientated in a fight against Terence Crawford. I think definitely his punch output would definitely taper off if he gets tagged with a few hard counters. He's going to think twice before coming in against Terence Crawford. So I think as good as Indongo is, he could arguably be the second best junior welterweight in the world behind Crawford, but it's a long way down from number 1 to number 2, in my opinion. And again, I say that with all due respect, but I just think Crawford is just a very, very dangerous top-level guy.
Well, not to mention Crawford's fought a lot of top-level opposition too. So, and a lot better than his resume is a lot better than Indongo's, put it that way. But
correct.
I don't know. It's tough to say. I mean, you watch how he handled Postal Crawford. I'm speaking of. So we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully that fight comes off, man. Because I tell you what, that'd be a fight I'd love to see for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably the best fight that can be made right now, junior welterweight.
Oh, 100%. 100%. All right, so let's move ahead here. Sullivan Barrera versus Paul Parker. And,
wow.
Joe, I'm going to hand this off to you here. I expected Paul Parker to put up a much better fight than this. I really did. And there was a big size difference and everything like that, and Barrera just took him to school. What did you think of this fight?
Well, if you could stay away from Sullivan Barrera's power like Andre Ward did, then obviously you can have some success. But that's a big if. Because when this guy lays hands on anyone, he moves them. You could see him. And Shabransky found that out too. It was a guy who was supposed to beat Sullivan Barrera. This is a guy that a lot of people are high on. It's supposed to be a really skilled fighter with a punch. And, Sullivan Barrera, he decided that, Shabransky decided he was going to, get in some exchanges with Sullivan Barrera because he thought that he would get off first. He'd be able to, outspeed him. But Sullivan Barrera, he's a tough guy. He was able to take those shots and come back with his own. And the big difference is once he lands something big, particularly that right hand, that's a game changer. That's a game changer. So, he's a dangerous fighter, and I believe in this guy's power, and he could arguably be the hottest puncher, right there with Sergey Kovalev. He's right there with Sergey Kovalev because this is a guy, Barrera, that's putting guys out with one shot. Like he'll land that right hand, and he just short circuits guys. Kovalev's a guy who kind of puts them together. He's a heavy-handed guy, but he's more of a kind of a guy that has to put shots together. He's somewhat of a clubber too. But Sullivan Barrera, he just got like a hammer with that right hand, man. And you could just see it. You could see when he landed that shot that he just like sends people into orbit, man. They like their feet lift off the canvas and they go flying backward. This guy's a dangerous puncher.
How it's like, you watch Sullivan Barrera and how good he is, and you watch what Andre Ward did to him.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. I mean, just made him look completely average.
And that's what makes me laugh when people say, oh, Andre Ward, when he came back, fought nobody. Well, Sullivan Barrera,
right,
I believe, was the IBF #1 contender at light heavyweight, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And what was that? Andre Ward's I think it was his third comeback fight, right? Or actually, was it his second comeback fight, right?
It was the second fight, yeah.
His second comeback fight, and he took on the #1 contender at light heavyweight. So
right, and people were saying this is a light touch and everything. I'll tell you what, and I knew Sullivan Barrera was no light touch, and I was really anxious to see how that fight played out. That was a one-sided fight, man. I mean,
I'm going to say something crazy, and obviously it's arguable, but behind Andre Ward and Sergey Kovalev. And who's the other hard-hitting Eastern European light heavyweight?
What is that guy's name?
Robbie.
Better Beeb.
Yeah,
Better Beef. Yeah, I mean, who would you pick? In a fight, Better Beef versus Barrera. So I think arguably Sullivan Barrera could be the third or fourth best light heavyweight in the world. As crazy that may sound.
Actually, it's too bad. It's too bad we can't match those two up together. That would be a hell of a fight.
Yeah, that'd be a really good fight, man. Yeah, wouldn't like to see that one, man. So where does Barrera go from here? I mean, I think everybody's on hold until the Ward Kovalev 2 gets over. I mean, but realistically, does he get a shot? I mean, he's not going to get a shot at Ward again, do you think?
He's calling out Joe Smith. And that wouldn't be a bad fight either.
Hey, why
I'm
not?
not hating that one. Yeah, I'm not hating that one at all.
Yeah, that's a good fight too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not hating that one either.
I would love to see. I'd love to see Barrera take out Stevenson, but I don't know if he'll get a shot at that.
Yeah,
I think he could beat Stevenson. Believe it or not, I think he beats Stevenson.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. Corey's in the chat. Yeah, Corey's in the chat asking what happened yesterday. It was Easter, so we just didn't have a show. Brother. Yeah, it was Easter, so we didn't have a show, so we late. So we had one today.
Yeah, we didn't want to have a show and just have like you listening, Corey. That wouldn't matter. No offense. I mean, I like you and all, but
he was looking forward to the show. There you go. Dmitry Bivol versus Samuel Clarkson for the WBA interim light heavyweight championship. Where does Dmitry Bivol demolish Clarkson in 4 rounds? Robbie, did you catch this fight?
Yeah, I did, and I was very disappointed because I've seen Samuel Clarkson twice on Showbox, and both times he scored devastating knockouts. I thought that this would be a hell of a competitive fight, and it was nothing but. I mean, he got totally destroyed. And they should have stopped it sooner than what they did.
Yeah.
It wasn't even close.
Yeah, this was a demolition.
How does Bivol stack up against the other light heavyweights? And you talk about Joe Smith, you talk about Sullivan Barrera. Let's not even stack him up against Ward or Kovalev yet. What about the undercards here? Like I said, Barrera, about Joe Smith, Monahan.
Well, the problem with a guy like this is he doesn't have many professional fights, and all of his opponents, he's made them look rather easy. I would like to see him step up the level of his competition to see how real he is, because right now it's kind of hard to say how good he actually is because he disposes people way too easily. So
right.
I think we need to step him up in competition and see what he can do.
Yeah, all I know right now about him is he's a very hard right-hand puncher, but I don't see too much else, and I hate to downgrade the guy because he's still coming up in the game, but a couple things I don't like about him: seems a little bit too straight up and stiff, keeps his hands like out like this in front of his face, but he keeps them like both in the center. Keeps both of his hands like in the center of his face, and it seems like he could like be caught with like looping shots. And I noticed he was moving his right hand up and down like this a lot, and that's a invitation for a right hand counter. He's constantly moving his hand up and down like that. Someone could slap the hand down and come over the top with the right hand. So I don't know, but definitely a hard right hand puncher without question. But I didn't see a ton of anything else.
It's sort of like he's being protected somewhat because they know what his weaknesses are, but he's making it look so easy. You've got to step up the level of competition.
Yeah.
But I agree with everything that Joe said, because there are some weaknesses there that can be taken advantage of.
I just don't like how he positions his hands. I don't like how he's constantly moving that left hand up and down like that. It's like wasted motion. You know what I mean? It's
right.
I don't know. That's just me.
All right, so let's move ahead here. And that was pretty much the action for the weekend, honestly. There wasn't a whole lot going on. Let's talk about the upcoming fights here. So, let's see here, give me 1 second. All right, on April 20th, I believe that's Thursday, yeah? Is that correct, Robert?
Yeah.
All right. From Verona, New York on ESPN2, Michael Perez versus Marcelino Marcelino Lopez, 10 rounds, junior welterweights. And Rashidi Ellis versus John Carl Sosa, 10 rounds, welterweights. On Unimas, Robert's favorite station, from Kissimmee, Florida, Christopher Diaz versus Sergio Lopez, 8 rounds, featherweights. And Jean Carlos Rivera versus Jesus Pacheco, 8 rounds, featherweights. And then from Miami, Oklahoma, and I don't know if this is going to be televised or not, Bilal Dib versus Dale Evans, 10 rounds, junior lightweights. And then Charles Conwell Jr. versus the dreaded TBA, that's 4 rounds, and Conwell is Olympian, as you guys know. April 22nd on Showtime, Saturday, the big one, the one we couldn't live without. Sean Porter versus Andre Berto, 12 rounds, WBC welterweight eliminator. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Jermell Charlo versus Charles Hatley, 12 rounds for the WBC junior middleweight title. Louis Ortiz versus Derek Rossi, 10 rounds heavyweights. Amanda Serrano versus the dreaded TBA for the WBO women's bantamweight title. And then let's see here. From Carson, California, the top-ranked pay-per-view card. I said it. Pay-per-view. You're going to have to pay to watch this card. Listen to this dynamic rundown. Oscar Valdez versus Miguel Mariaga, 12 rounds for Valdez's WBO featherweight title. Gilberto Ramirez versus Max Bursack, 12 rounds for Ramirez's WBO super middleweight title. Jesse Magdaleno versus Adelson Dos Santos, 12 rounds from Magdaleno's WBO junior featherweight title. All that. And Shakur Stevenson will make his debut. And let's see, from Liverpool, England, it may be on Box Nation or maybe Sky Sports, one of those, or you can stream it. On Saturday, Martin Murray versus Gabe Rosado, 12 rounds middleweights. Hey, I don't hate that fight at all.
I don't hate it either. That's a great style matchup.
Rocky versus John Ryder. Yeah, right? I mean, that's an action-packed fight. 12 rounds for the vacant super middleweight title, the British super middleweight title.
Yep.
And those are like all the names I recognize from that card. Arthur Abraham. Yeah, he's still fighting. Versus Robin Krasnicki. 12 rounds for the WBO super middleweight title eliminator. Wow.
How many times is he going to fight for the WBO super middleweight title?
I don't know, man. Those two have fought before, right?
What's he under contract by the WBO that he has to fight for that title every 6 months?
He must be.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
From Madrid, Spain, Dmitry Chudinov. Again, this is one you can stream. Dmitry Chudinov versus Mariano Hilario. 12 rounds for the European super middleweight title. I'm pretty sure you could probably buy that on eBay too. And that's it. That's it for this weekend. So let's talk about let's talk about these two cards here. We'll talk about one that's fair and one that's lukewarm here. So let's start with the one that's fair. Saturday on Showtime, Sean Porter versus Andre Berto. Listen, I think this will be an exciting, like an entertaining fight. I think that, Andre Berto is going to come after him. Sean Porter for sure is going to come after him. This is my problem with this fight. This is my big problem with this fight is Sean Porter asked for this fight. This wasn't just something that the promoter said, hey, let's do this or let's put this together. Sean Porter came out and actively pursued this fight. Why?
I'm gonna defend Sean Porter here.
Please do.
I know you're not gonna like.
Hey, Sean Porter's from Ohio.
I know.
And I can't defend this.
I'm gonna defend Sean Porter here because Sean Porter had to get a fight. Okay? Thurman's not going to give him a rematch right away. Kell Brooks tied up with Errol Spence. Manny Pacquiao's tied up with, what's his name, Horn there, right? So where does he go? And Andre Berto, you could say what you want about him, but he's always comes to fight, always tries to make for an exciting fight, and he still has a name in the welterweight division. So you beat Andre Berto, it's still a name on your resume. Danny Garcia fought Robert Guerrero, I think, for the WBC vacant You know, is Robert Guerrero a better fighter than Andre Berto at this stage? I think they're quite similar. They're very comparable. I would even think that, in my opinion, Andre Berto would beat Robert Guerrero in a fight right now.
Really?
So I think so. I do.
Yeah, Guerrero is a mess.
Well, so
Yeah,
Berto.
so-
It's not like Berto's any better.
Yeah, but Berto, you know, he
But,
can still punch. He can still punch. And again, his style is going to mesh very well with Sean Porter's style, as you alluded to earlier. So I don't think it's a bad fight. And I understand what you're saying. How many chances is Andre Berto going to get? And, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, you look at this welterweight division, you could still say that Andre Berto is arguably still a top 10 welterweight, no?
I don't know, man. I really don't know. I mean, I don't know.
So that's the thing. I think Sean Porter's always had this dilemma of trying to get big fights. I'm not saying he's never had big fights, but he'll have a big fight, and then after a big fight, you know, the well runs dry a little bit for a couple, you know, fights there on after, and he has to take fights like this while he's waiting for that other big fight to come. You know, come to fruition, get dropped on his lap. So this is the problem that he's had. Like, you take a guy like Danny Garcia. Like, Danny Garcia is always having those fights. You know, and again, I'm not hating on Danny Garcia. I'm just saying certain fighters, they're just very marketable. And Sean Porter's still a little bit marketable, but he's not as marketable as a Danny Garcia. Maybe not as marketable as a Keith Thurman at this stage. And, you know, because Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia still, you know, they do very well at the Barclays. They can sell the Barclays out whenever they go there. Keith Thurman does pretty well on the West Coast. You know, Sean Porter's still trying to establish his name in the sport. And I think at some point he will. But he has to take a fight like this just to stay relevant, man. That's just how I see it. Or just to stay active, too.
But to go out and call this guy
Well,
out like
and
that,
here's
like this is the fight that everybody has to see. This is the one.
Well, I don't think it's being promoted as that, though, Eric. I think the way that they're promoting this fight is this fight's going to be an entertaining, action-packed fight.
Yeah.
Tune in. They're not saying that, hey, these are the two best welterweights in the world.
That's true.
You know, so that's the way it's being promoted. So that's the way that's the way I'm looking at it, and that's the way I think most people should look at it.
Okay, and here's another problem I have with this fight. They're making this a WBA title eliminator. Really? What has Andre Berto done to deserve a WBA title eliminator? I mean, I can see that Sean Porter would be put in a fight like that because he just fought Keith Thurman. But you make this a WBA title eliminator, and I agree with Joe. Sean had to have a fight because he hasn't fought since June 25th. He had to get in the ring with somebody. But I don't know if, you know, I don't hate the fight, but I really think that they could have picked somebody else. I know it's not realistic, but I would have loved to have seen Sean Porter fight Tim Bradley, for example. You know, I think that would have been a better fight. I would have loved to have seen Sean Porter fight a Danny Garcia. You know, again, I know Danny Garcia just fought, but I think that they could have found a better opponent than Andre Berto for Sean Porter. I think Sean Porter is going to dispose of Andre Berto.
Okay, so
I'd be very surprised if it goes the distance.
Who would you guys have rather seen Sean Porter in there with? Who would have actually accepted a fight with Sean Porter? That's not now. I'm talking about dream matchups. Now I'm talking about realistic matchups that could have been made, and we would have been able to see.
That I don't know right offhand.
It's very tough.
It is very difficult.
Lamont Peterson comes to mind. Peterson comes to mind, but
Lamont Peterson.
But he's not going to fight him now. He's not going to fight him now. There's no need to fight him. He doesn't have to fight him now. Why take a tough fight?
What about Saddam Ali? What about?
I think
that's a reasonable fight. That's a reasonable fight.
Saddam Ali could be.
What about Jesse Vargas? What about just somebody with a pulse would have been good.
Can I ask you guys a question? Could Andre Berto beat Saddam Ali right now? Is that realistic? Seeing how Saddam Ali got knocked out?
I think Ali would beat Berto.
I think Ali killed him.
So there's no shot. There's no shot Berto could beat him?
No.
Couldn't land
I don't think Berto beats him. Berto doesn't beat a top 10 guy right now.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, no, Berto's finished, man.
Well, hey, Eric, I think Berto beats Jesse Vargas.
Yeah, I think.
No way.
I think Berto, with Berto's punching power, I think he could win a lot of fights.
He was having trouble with Ortiz. He was getting beat by Ortiz before he landed that shot. No.
Well, that's what I'm saying. you just proved my point, Eric.
He was getting beat. He landed the shot. It was a good punch, and I'm not going to say it was a lucky shot, but like Ortiz was washed up too.
Well, don't worry. For those that want to see Victor Ortiz, they're working on a Victor Ortiz Brandon Rios fight.
What about Avanasayan? What about Porter and Avanasayan?
Again,
David Avanasayan.
Who's a bigger name though? Avanasayan.
You're right. You know what? And I will go along with you on this. You're right. It is a bigger name for sure, because Berto does have a bigger name, and you know. And
now Robbie just said that he thinks Berto would beat Jesse Vargas, but Jesse Vargas knocked out Saddam Ali. You know. Berto's style can be problematic for a lot of fighters. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And I know Guerrero did beat him before, but I don't think this version of Robert Guerrero would beat this version of Andre Berto. That's just my opinion.
And somebody in the chat just said Avanasayan just lost to Peterson. Yeah, I understand that. Doesn't mean he can't fight Porter.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it doesn't mean he can't fight Porter. So, you know. Does that? But I mean, like what I'm saying is, I think Avanasayan beats Berto. Put it.
I don't think someone in the chat just said Jesse Vargas kills Berto. With all due respect, I disagree.
No,
I disagree.
I think Berto wins that fight. I think Berto wins that fight.
I'm not going to sit there and say I would put the house on Berto. But if Berto was like a 4-1 underdog, I wouldn't mind laying some cash on him.
I don't know, man.
I think he's got a shot. I think he's got a shot against Vargas, and I like Vargas. Don't get me wrong, but.
Yeah. Yeah, so, but I think, you know what, I do agree with you on one thing. I think it'll be an entertaining fight while it lasts.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I don't hate the fight. I mean, I would have liked to see a Keith Thurman-Sean Porter rematch. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to. Right. I really enjoyed that fight. But
yeah, I think this was a fun fight, put it that way. I think it's a fun
fight.
Yeah, it's a fun fight, for sure. But I think my problem was with Sean Porter to begin with. My problem was always with Sean Porter in this fight, calling out Andre Berto, saying this is the fight the fans need to see, this is the fans want to see, and blah, blah, blah. Dude, shut up. You know, I mean, it's like that's not the fight everybody wants.
He was saying that?
Sean Porter was saying. Yeah, he was trying to bait him. Yeah. He was trying to bait
him. He's trying to promote the fight. We can't hate on him.
Yeah, I guess, man. But this was before the fight was signed. So, yeah. All right, so let's talk about Jermell Charlo versus Charles Hatley, 12 rounds for Charlo's WBC junior middleweight title. This one, I tell you what, man, Charles Hatley, I can't go with him on this one. Charlo's gonna kill this guy. I think that Charles Hatley, man, is suing Don King, and not that there's anything wrong with suing Don King, but you don't sue your promoter. You got you the and I don't know. Like I said, man, he's suing him. Don King put out this press release, so who knows what the actual thing is. All I know is he's getting sued. You know, and even though nobody's really big on Don King, but he did get the guy a title shot. Nobody had ever heard of Charles Hatley prior to this, and he got him a title shot. You know,
I know. That is true, Eric.
And not only that, you don't sue somebody right in the middle of your camp. If you want to sue him, wait till the end. You can't wait till everything's all said and done and then sue the guy. But you don't cause a big distraction like this right in the middle of camp. And listen, man, if you're suing somebody, that's what I would call a distraction. So before the biggest fight of your life, man, not really good.
I'll tell you what, I hope these two can fight as well as they talk. Boy, I think Charlo is going to roll right through Mr. Hadley. It's like, oh.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree.
Yeah, I think so. So, and then Louis Ortiz versus Derek Rossi, 10 rounds heavyweights. I've heard conflicting reports. I can't find anything. I heard that Louis Ortiz may have been pulled off of the card or maybe not going in the card, but that may not be the case. He's still listed on the schedule. He's still, to my knowledge, still on the card. So 10 rounds heavyweights. Louis Ortiz has, everybody's high on this guy. Everybody's really, really high on this guy. I'm not, and I don't.
I'm not either. I'm not either.
I just think he's slow. I think he's plodding. I think he's a good boxer, but I think he's very beatable. I think he's very, very beatable.
I think he could be out. I think he could be outworked by a quicker guy. I think he could be outworked and out hustled by a quicker guy because he fights at a very slow pace. And as you said, I don't think he's. I think he's heavy-handed, but he's got that George Foreman type power, that clubbing type power. Where I don't think he's an explosive, particularly fast guy, like you said, and he's dangerous. But I don't know. I just don't see anything exceptional about him. Like Anthony Joshua is just explosive. He's a guy that just throws punches like bombs. Like they're like you can't even see them coming. Like and he just puts them together. This Ortiz guy is just really slow, methodical. Fights at a really, really I don't know. It's not a quick pace at all.
You know what? I am getting confirmation. He is off that card. He is. I just looked it up. He is off that card. So yeah.
Okay.
I mentioned
All
it,
right.
and we just looked it up. He is definitely off of that card. So yeah, there you go. So
Okay,
he's not going to be on the card anyway. So, and then Amanda Serrano will box somebody for the WBO Women's Bantamweight title. So there you go. So
and the only notable thing about that, and I guess it should be mentioned here since we're covering women's boxing now, she will become the only Puerto Rican boxer. Not you laugh if you want to, but this is serious. I'm surprised you don't know about this. She'll become the only Puerto Rican boxer from Puerto Rico who has won a title in 5 different weight classes. And I don't know the person she's fighting, but that is a historical thing that we got to pay attention to.
All right. Well, first off, I wasn't laughing at your fact there. I was laughing at your comment. You said we're now covering women's boxing now. We've always covered women's boxing.
Well, we got to pay attention to it, Eric.
Wow, he's done a 360, Eric.
Yes,
he's going a 360. Good for Robbie.
He's getting backlash from the ladies.
I may not like how it's conducted, but we do have.
You couldn't deal with all that hate mail. Just admit you couldn't deal with all that hate mail. You couldn't deal with it. You were going to supermarkets and women were giving you dirty looks. You couldn't deal with it.
They were filling up his box. They were filling up his number. They were calling
the lady at the grocery store wouldn't even bag your groceries because of what you said. Admit it.
No, guys. I have not gotten one piece of bad mail in regards to my comments.
All right.
So, there.
All right. So, now, that was the fair card. Let's go to the lukewarm card, which is this pay-per-view card. Top Rank is putting on this pay-per-view. Oscar Valdez versus Miguel Mariaga. 12 rounds for Valdez's WBO featherweight title. That will be the headliner. Listen, man, these aren't bad fights. And, these are actually pretty good fights. Gilberto Ramirez versus Max Bursak, Jesse Magdaleno versus Adelson Dos Santos. These are not pay-per-view fights. In no way, shape, or form are these pay-per-view fights. Listen, man, I don't even know if I'd watch this on regular TV, let alone pay-per-view. All right. I mean, these are good. I mean, like I said, if it was on, this is an HBO card, and this is like an HBO After Dark card. This isn't like a pay-per-view spot. And I understand Bob Arum said he needed to get these guys on TV, blah, blah, blah. This is not the way to do it. You couldn't get ESPN. You couldn't get somebody. You couldn't get somebody.
I honestly think they couldn't. That's why he did it. I don't think Bob wanted to do this. I just think he had to do it if he wanted to get these guys, televised. He had to get these guys televised somehow.
You don't think he had any choice?
I've heard him say before that,
I really don't.
tried to get a network to pick up the card. They wouldn't do it.
Wow. So Spike, CBS, nobody.
Nope.
Wow. Then what does that tell you? Maybe it tells you that it's a lousy card. So what should I do? I know. I'll make people pay for it.
Okay, but I will say, and again, because we talked about how Spike's dropped PBC, right? Look at some of those PBC cards that were on Spike. They weren't the greatest either. So in comparison to some of the other cards we've seen this year or even last year, it's not a horrible card. It's not a great card, but
would you pay for it?
Pay-per-view? Depends how much it costs.
Read in the chat, $45.
Oh, 40? Really?
Yeah.
You know
right?
what?
Right.
I like Alberto Ramirez, though. I do like Alberto Ramirez.
Hang on. You would pay $45?
I'm a loser, though. Look at me. Look at the stuff look at the cards I've bought in my career, man. Look at some of the stuff if I showed you my cable bill, I think you'd laugh at me. I bought Roy Jones versus Bobby Gunn, and I'm not going to buy this.
I almost bought that. I can't even lie. I bought it. I almost bought it.
I'm a degenerate.
Hey, I wanted to buy that, but DirecTV didn't have it available. So you know.
Right.
Comcast, baby.
So Robert, are you going to pay for this card?
X1.
Are you going to pay for this card?
He's going to buy it.
No, what I was going to say, Eric, had this particular card been this last weekend, I would have been all over it. I would have bought it. But no, it's on the same night as Sean Porter and Andre Berto. I'm going to watch that.
Oh, wow. That's a huge bad move for Bob Arum to do that. I forgot about that.
Right.
Wow.
Against the freebie.
Wow.
What is the over-under on what does that pull in? How many? Less than 100,000?
25,000.
25,000.
I would say like 75. I would say 75, man.
Yeah.
75 people total watching that show.
Had it been this weekend, I would have bought it.
Nah, man, there ain't no way I'm buying it.
Manny just made a good point in the chat saying someone on Facebook will have it, and they probably will.
Yeah. I'll stream it. I'll depends if it's the same time as a Porter fight. I'm not watching it.
Sorry. After I don't think I am going to buy it.
100 people. I'm saying it. I'm taking the under now. I'm saying 75 people total. But he might be right, man. He might be right with 100 people because you got to think about them guys have their families. They're going to buy it if they're not at the fight. So all his cousins and stuff that stayed back, they might buy the fight. Yeah. You know, Shakur Stevenson's got a good little base around him. So I say 75 to 100 people, man. I don't think it's going to be much more than that, though. I don't think it's going to be much more than that. That's me and Manny. We're on the same play. We're on the same thought process here. And then
this is gonna do worse numbers than the Terrence Crawford Victor Postal pay-per-view.
Oh, for sure. Oh God, yeah. You're going under 10,000 on this one. There's no way. This doesn't even make over 10,000. Guaranteed. Shakur Stevenson. This is interesting. I've got it listed as a 6-round bout. So he skipped the 4-rounders and he's going straight to the 6-rounders. So to me, that's kind of interesting.
Okay.
But it doesn't say who he's going to fight yet. I don't have a list on who he's going to fight. So there you go. So with that, let's go to the phones here. 602, you are live. Or maybe not. 602.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? It's Brandon from Phoenix. How you guys doing?
Hey, Brandon. How are you?
Man, what's up?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. Real quick, before I get to the weekend's action, I got to chime in on the little discussion you guys had about Berto. You know what? I agree with Beeb, man. If you really look at the realistic opponents that Porter could have got, Berto's really not that bad.
He's got a good point.
Some of the other guys, I would have liked to have seen the Jesse Vargas fight. I mean, a Tim Bradley fight would have been cool, but those fights, they're not going to get made because of the division in boxing. And other than that, everybody else is kind of tied up. So I don't really have a problem with Berto. If Berto's a top 10 welterweight, he's 10. So I will say that. So,
fair point.
And real quick, I don't know if you guys knew this, but AWE showed this weekend's fight with Burns and Indongo.
Yeah, I watched it on that.
Yeah.
That's where I watched it. I watched it on that. Yeah.
Whoa! What did you?
AWE's on DirecTV. What channel?
Yeah, what channel?
It's let me look at my thing right now real quick, Robbie. I want to say it's like 383, but
Oh wow.
I'm surprised because I
Get
came
outta
home
here.
from work and I hit the DVR list, just doing whatever, and boom, it was right there. Like it was already
Damn.
recorded in my DVR list. It's 387 AWE in
That
HD.
totally just made
Oh,
my.
Yeah, I watch it on Roku.
I watched it on Apple. Yeah, I watched it on Apple.
Yeah, I buy the channel for like
Okay.
it's like $2 a month, and I buy it.
Really?
And-
I didn't know you could do that. And remember, everybody was saying that they stopped taking subscriptions and this and that. So I never really looked too deep into it because, the shout out to Davey Boy Essex, but he was uploading a lot of the Sky stuff that I wanted to see. So it wasn't like that big of a deal. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna have to check into that.
That's
Thank
awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no problem, man. But it was right there. Mm. But anyway, let me get into this week's action. Once again, I kind of agree with Beeb on what he was saying about Bivol. I'm a big listener of the Coalition, and those guys were hyping him up for a while. And I like him, but there's just not something quite all the way there. I think he's a little too stiff. I don't like how wide his feet are at certain times. But he's only like 9-10 fights in, right?
Yeah, 10-0 now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot that can be done. He's still young, but what do you guys think would happen if Bivol fought Barrera?
I think Barrera would knock him out.
My with his weaknesses, he'll get knocked out. He's not ready for somebody like that yet.
I think he'd get knocked out.
I tend to agree with you. Go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry.
Oh, he wasn't saying anything. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know if he would knock him out because watching Barrera, who I'm a big fan of the other night, he was getting caught with some clean punches too. And if he got caught with those clean punches that he was getting hit with by Bivol, if it was Bivol throwing those punches, Barrera could have got himself knocked out too. So, I agree with you. Maybe I would probably favor Barrera, but I think that Bivol would have a shot against Barrera, the Nail Gosnick, or I don't know how you say that guy's name, but Nail. Hold on, baby, I'm on the phone. But he would have a good shot against any one of those guys, kind of like at that tier. But I think he could probably give Nathan Cleverly a good fight. And what's the guy that just beat what's his name? He just beat the guy up in Canada who's been Stevenson's mandatory forever. And just keeps taking
What is that guy's name? I know exactly. He's the one who took the step aside.
Out of my head.
Yeah, he's the one that took the step aside.
Yeah. He just beat Butte.
Yeah.
Alvarez, LDR Alvarez. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
A guy like that for him. Yeah. That would be those would be the type of people that I would want to see him in with, maybe in a fight or two, even though he does have that WBA interim. So I don't know what that exactly entitles him to and a title shot and everything like that. But any one of those guys, he's a good fight for any one of those guys at this point now, but he just has some deficiencies, but maybe with his youth and his strength, he can just kind of overcome those, But that's the way I see that. And what do you guys think about Indongo versus Crawford?
I love that fight. I love that fight. And I know, obviously I think you have to favor Crawford in the fight. And as Joe mentioned, why, because Crawford's a little bit, just a little bit better all around fighter, on the eye test, he's a little bit all around. But man, I'll tell you what, I like that fight. I want to see it. I really want to see that fight.
Yeah, I like the fight too. I just think Crawford's just a little bit too strong, a little too hard of a puncher, and he's just an excellent counter puncher too. Again, these guys who are dangerous moving forward and moving backward, and they're quick and they can punch hard as well. Those guys are the most dangerous types of fighters there are in boxing, if you want to know the truth. And this Indongo kid, as much as I was impressed with him against Burns, he was fighting Ricky Burns, so Terrence Crawford's a whole different animal in my opinion. And Indongo just throws a lot of punches and he likes to come forward. He's very aggressive. That's a great style matchup for a counter puncher like Terrence Crawford.
Yeah, but you know what? He fought Troianovski in his last fight, and Troianovski was unbeaten. He was a killer, and people were comparing, people were saying, hey, Troyanovsky could be the one to give Terrence Crawford a lot of problems, and he put him away cold. He was,
but he's still not Terrence Crawford though. That's the thing.
well, nobody's Terrence Crawford for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a tall order. You know, and Terrence Crawford, man, he's just so good. He's so good. But yeah,
I'd like to be wrong. It would make for a better fight. I would like to see the fight be a real battle type of fight, a real back and forth war type of fight. I hope I'm wrong. Maybe Indongo's better than I think. I'd like to be wrong on that.
If you guys were putting it between Indongo and Postol, guys who are kind of similarly built, I think they're about the same height and reach, right?
Yeah.
I think
Postal's like 5. They're both like close, like 5'11"-ish. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I picked Postal to beat Crawford, and boy was I wrong there. I was really wrong there.
Ooh, that's a rough one. You know, I thought it was going to be a heck of a lot closer than what it was. You know, I didn't see Crawford just being able to shut him out like that. And, you know, maybe if Indongo has a little bit more want to than what Postal had, because once Crawford started moving on Postal wasn't really ready to take the risk to try to win the fight, sort of like a Gamboa was. But I don't know, man. I think that, you know, Crawford would probably outbox him, but I think Indongo's a little bit rougher and tumble than Postol was, and maybe he's willing to get a little bit dirtier to win the fight. So it would be interesting. It's the best fight at 140 right now. The only other person I think Diaz is a great opponent for Crawford, and I think that my man Lipinets, I like him too. But other than that, there's really not too much else out there. But I'm interested to see it. I'd like to see Crawford unify and get all the belts and everything like that, and then maybe have a defense or two before maybe he steps up to 147. But that's pretty much all I got for you guys this week, man. I'll talk to you on the next one. All right, man?
awesome.
Thank you. Good call, man. Thanks.
Good call.
Yeah, thank you for the call, man.
Awesome. All right. So yeah, man. But that brings up, I mean, like I said, man, that Crawford and Indongo fight, that's a decent fight, man. You know, and maybe it looks a lot like Crawford Postal. I don't know. But it's definitely something we want to see for sure. Let me get back to the schedule here real quick. Yeah, Shakur Stevenson is going to fight Edgar Brito, 6 rounds, and of course they're featherweights. And also too, Francisco Santana, a friend of the show, is going to be on that card versus Mahanri Montes, 10 rounds welterweights. Now, here's the deal, man. I think, you know what I think is going to be what would be cool is if Top Rank is going to show that pay-per-view, don't show just those 4 fights. Show the entire card. Why not?
Wow.
Why not? If you're going to put that kind of card on a pay-per-view, show the entire card from top to bottom. That I would watch. That I might watch. I'm not saying I would for sure watch it. But put the entire card on from top to bottom. Make sure I'm going to see Francisco Santana on that. You know, make sure I'm going to see Victor Vasquez, Bradis Prescott.
Everything will start at the same time, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, you know. But, you know, like I said, man, if that to me, if you're going to make it $44 for this type of card, then at least make it worth my while to watch it. You know, make it an all-day event.
Yeah.
You know, make it an event. Don't make it just 2 fights, 3 fights with, you know.
Yeah.
And they're not. I mean, they're not even like. I mean, they're not competitive, but they're not the best fights that could be made for those guys. Put it that way. I hate that pay-per-view card. I just absolutely hate it.
Wow, you don't like it?
No, I don't like it at all. I don't like it.
If I bought it for you, would you watch it?
If you bought it for me, I would definitely watch it, but I may watch it on delay. I might watch it live. All right, let's move ahead to our news and rumors here. The fall of the PBC. Spike TV cancels the PBC. Premier Boxing Champions of PBC will no longer appear on Spike TV. The network has decided to not renew the contract. David Schwartz, a spokesperson for Spike, told ESPN that Spike aired a PBC fight a few months back in January. We have a great relationship, running dialogue with Al and the PBC. Our focus is on Bellator right now. But if the right fight arises, we're all ears. The PBC seems to be either in denial or just mum on the situation. Tim Smith, PBC spokesman, stated to ESPN, "We're in discussions with Spike about the future, but nothing is firm yet. Given the fact that Spike canceled the show, I would say things are pretty firm. The discussions are over." What do you make of that? That has to be like the oddest comment, that we're in discussions with Spike about the future, nothing is firm. Spike came out and canceled it. They canceled it. They did not renew the contract. That's a cancellation. You are not being renewed. You're fired. We're still in negotiations.
And I believe ESPN's about ready to do the same thing. So.
That's what we keep hearing.
But you know what? You know what this reminds me of? You know when HBO used to, sign guys to multi-fight contracts, and then they started just, not signing the fighter, but they just got in the business of buying fights instead of just having the fighter under contract. I just think this is a smart business move. And again, it doesn't mean that you won't see PBC fights on Spike. It just means that this puts the pressure on PBC now to put on better fights if they're going to put them on Spike. So it's kind of a good thing. I think I think Spike wins, and I think the fans win. And if it's the right fight, PBC can win as well. So it's not such a bad thing.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
No, and also
that's what it sounded like. They're going to leave the door open.
Also look at it this way. With ESPN, they're now getting fights from Golden Boy. That card on Thursday is a Golden Boy card. So, if Oscar's going to give them fights, as far as ESPN is concerned, why should they deal with the PBC?
Well,
why not?
Once again, I just think that it's all going to depend on how good the fights are. These networks don't want to get locked in and then be committed to show fights if they're not good. It's just simple and plain,
right?
Which makes sense for them. And this is what I said before too. When people were talking about the PBC, how is it going to fail? Is it going to go bankrupt? Is it going to cease to exist? I just kept saying this. I said, in my own humble opinion, I think it will continue to go on. I just don't think that it'll be shown on as many networks. I said that I think some of the networks will probably drop off, but I still think that NBC, CBS, I think they'll still show the right fight. And as long as you have CBS, NBC, I mean that's still a feather in your cap, because that gives you the opportunity to put on a fight in front of the largest audience possible. So that's still a win for PBC, in my opinion. Who else is able to do that?
Well,
Bob Arum's not.
Yeah.
Oscar De La Hoya is not. So, I mean, if I was a young fighter coming up, or if I'm an Errol Spence, he was on NBC. What's better than that? You know what I mean? People flipping through the channels on a Saturday afternoon, right? Boom. Here comes Errol Spence. I'd love that if I was a fighter.
Yeah, I think so. And I tell you what, I think that I think Spike has a good move here because they haven't ruled out showing fights on there. And he says if the right fight arises, then that's what we'll do. And this kind of puts it, like you said, puts it in their corner to buy the fights, to buy the fights that people are interested in, and instead of putting on stuff that nobody really wants to watch, you know what I mean? That are mismatches or anything like,
So it's not like they're buying a brand, they're buying a fight. It's not about the brand per se, it's about the fight. And that's what's good. They're making it about the event, the fight itself, not about PBC, the brand. And that's how I always looked at it. But for some reason, other people didn't look at it like that. And people who are really diehard fans of the sport, a good fight is a good fight. It doesn't matter who puts it on. I think someone in the chat said that as well. That that doesn't matter who puts it on, as long as the fight's good, the fight is good. So
right. Somebody in the chat said so. Errol Spence has a huge following now. No, we're not saying that at all. We're just saying he just said if they're flipping through the channels and you catch him on NBC, yeah, I mean that's a big deal.
He had the opportunity to be showcased
right
in front of the largest audience possible on that day. Now, Will it parlay into a big following? Well, if he beats Kell Brook, we'll see what happens. That's the first step. I mean, he's got to win a world title first, before he could be like marketed to mainstream. And I think, I'm not saying that it's a given, that it's a lock that he's going to be a mainstream fighter, but I think he definitely has a shot. He definitely has a shot.
Yeah, I agree. So good move for Spike. So this doesn't really signal the demise of the PBC, is what you're saying, Joe?
I think it's a demise, but I think that this is just going to put them on notice that, hey, we got to step our game up. And again, haven't they stepped their game up this year?
I think so. I think so. I mean, a lot of their fighters, a lot of their fighters having big fights. So, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then Thurman and Garcia, yeah, I think they have. Yeah, for sure. Triple G will now focus on Canelo instead of Billy Joe Saunders. The original plan called for Gennady Golovkin to face Billy Joe Saunders in June. Well, apparently that plan has been scrapped. Chris Mannix of Yahoo Sports is reporting that multiple sources have told him Triple G will be turning his attention to a September showdown with Canelo Alvarez. Tom Loeffler has declined to comment on the situation, but Abel Sanchez told Yahoo Sports that Triple G was sore. He had a 12-round fight. I didn't see it the first day in the dressing room. Usually second or third day you start to feel it. I didn't check in with him right after a long training camp. I'm the last person he would want to see. He's not a complainer. It's just natural soreness. It was a difficult fight. I guess he's referring to the fact that they're not going to fight Billy Joe Saunders in June. So they are going to scrap that and then wait for the Canelo fight. And you two have an interesting, listen, man, I think the Canelo fight is going to happen in September. I think Canelo is going to fight Chavez Jr. I mean, where else is the money? I mean, there's no bigger money than that. I think that fight comes off. I think it comes off in September. However, you two don't see it that way. Robert, how do you see this going down?
No, Eric, I was in your camp for quite some time, but the more I got to thinking about this and the more Joe kept presenting his argument, this announcement here, it's all starting to fall into the way that Joe has presented it. And Joe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but your hypothesis is that Canelo beats Chavez, and then he fights Billy Joe Saunders in September, and then the winner fights Golovkin next May. Is that the way you see it? Because it's starting to look that way to me.
I just think Golden Boy is playing Golovkin's team like a flute, man. I'm sorry to say it, but I think that Billy Joe Saunders and Canelo is going to be the next fight, and it's so funny how Golden Boy came out and said, well, if he fights Billy Joe Saunders, then that Golovkin fight, the Canelo fight is dead. We're not going to fight. We're not even going to be open to talk to you if you take that Billy Joe Saunders fight. And they fell in line. So it just makes them look weak, in my opinion, that Golden Boy was able to tell them what their next move was going to be.
So do you think it's a case of them telling him what the next move is going to be, or do you think he was legitimately injured? Can't take.
I don't think he was legitimately injured at all. I'm not saying he was. I'm not saying he was fresh. I'm not saying he was fresh as a daisy.
Sure.
But you would have known. I mean, again, is there any medical records that he sustained a significant injury? Did he tear something? Did he pull something? Did he break something? No, nothing. None of that has come out. So I went to the gym yesterday. I'm sore today. I got up and went to work this morning. Could I say, hey, I'm sore from the gym? I can't. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but if I broke my leg, obviously I wouldn't go to work. If I blew my ACL out, I wouldn't go to work. So what is injured? We're all injured. I mean, how many of us got out of the shower and stubbed our toe? That's an injury. But does that debilitate us that we can't go on? So, yeah, I mean, he's been a boxer all his life. There's normal wear and tear in the gym after sparring sessions and training. There's normal wear and tear after a fight. Now, is this normal wear and tear, or is this significant damage? I think this is normal wear and tear, because if it was significant damage, there'd be a medical report out there saying, oh, he broke a hand. He tore a cartilage in his elbow or something. He sprained his knee. Something would have happened. You know what I mean? He broke his nose, had a cut inside his lip that required 7 stitches. No, there was none of that. So this is just Golden Boy telling them, hey, you take that Billy Joe Saunders fight, we're not even going to even sit down and talk with you. There's no negotiations. So they fell in line. But the Golden Boy has been leading them on all along. So would it be a surprise if they're going to continue to lead them on and say, hey, okay, we'll sit down and negotiate a September fight with you? And then they end up fighting Saunders instead. Why not? This guy Canelo can make money fighting anyone. This, as I said, this Chavez fight is going to be bigger than a Canelo Golovkin fight, in my opinion. Mark my words when I tell you that.
Yeah, I don't know about that so much, but I will tell you this. Here's where I come out on it. I think the fight happens in September. I think they'll negotiate with him, and I think the fight comes off in September. And I'll tell you why. It's real simple. Canelo versus Saunders does not bring anything else to that fight. If he were to go and bring a belt, Canelo is above. He doesn't need the belts to sell pay-per-views. He doesn't need the belts. So him fighting Saunders, really, it doesn't really make a lot of sense other than he'll get a belt, a middleweight belt. That's it. But he'll get 3 if he fights Golovkin. You know what I mean? It doesn't make a lot of sense for him to go and pursue Billy Joe Saunders after this.
I heard Triple G on an ESPN interview, and this interview revealed a lot because, you know, he sat there and said for so long how he doesn't care about Canelo. He doesn't care about Canelo, how he just wants to unify the titles. But in that interview, he flipped the script a little bit. He switched up. He said, oh, I really want that fight. And he even said, I really need that fight. So why do you really need that fight? He wants that payday. Someone must have gotten his ear and just told him, hey, you know what? The clock is ticking. You know, how many fights do you really think you have left? You know what I'm saying? So you better take this fight now. Someone got in his ear. And again, it's not a bad thing wanting the biggest money fight for yourself. But it just, they've just said so many different things. They've had so many different stories. They tried to market this guy as being, you know, the people's champion. It's not about the money. It's about the honor. It's about pleasing the fans, this and that. But you know what? It's always going to be about the money. And you don't have to come out and say that. But by you saying so many different other things, it just damages the credibility of that team. And then you have, you know, Tom Loeffler is not saying a word, but for some reason, they got Abel Sanchez out there, yap, 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 yap. And he's really hurting the situation even more so. So they need to put the gag order on him because it's just making them look bad. And it's making them look desperate right now for this fight.
But don't you think, though, from a Canelo standpoint, you have a big money fight with Chavez, a big money fight with Canelo. Why would you not take that? Why would you go to Saunders, who's not as big of money? And Canelo can make money with anybody, that's true. But why would you go after Saunders when, again, you made big money with Chavez Jr., you're going to make big money with Triple G. Why would you go after Saunders and take a lower paycheck when you can have 2 big ones right in a row?
How much lower is a fight with Saunders going to be than Triple G? How much?
Hey, it's going to be a ton more.
How much pay-per-views does this Triple G Canelo fight really do? And I say this with all due respect to Canelo, but Canelo, I mean, not Canelo, I mean Golovkin, but Golovkin just does not bring that much to the table. He's shown that. He's shown that.
But I think this fight brings a lot to the table.
I don't know, man.
Crawford doesn't bring a lot to the table pay-per-view wise either. But if he goes up and he finds the right guy, I mean, people want to see that fight.
Do you think – now, the Billy Joe Saunders fight, in my opinion, is a much easier fight for Canelo than Golovkin.
Sure.
It's a much easier fight.
Much easier.
But, in my opinion, it's going to be the amount of money Canelo is going to make versus Billy Joe Saunders versus Triple G. It's going to be very comparable. He probably would make a little bit more with Golovkin, but how much more for a greater risk? You know what I'm saying? Is it going to be that much more? So you're going to be fighting a much better fighter for more money, but a little bit more, not a lot more.
No, I think it's going to be a lot more. I
don't think
that
so.
fight is worth
Let
a
me
lot
throw
more.
let me throw another fly in the ointment here. What if the I don't think this is going to happen, but what if the Chavez Canelo fight turns out to be, one of those back and forth fights, and it's a close decision, and they decide to have a rematch in September? What happens then?
Well, then I think Canelo goes after. I think Saunders and Triple G go at it. I think that fight gets renewed, and then they go at it because
but then Triple G said they're gonna if they don't get the Canelo fight, they're gonna go up to super middleweight though. They threw that out there.
Nah, that's not going to happen. I tell you what, man, he's not big enough to go up to super middleweight. He's going to get beat at super middleweight. He's not big enough. He's just not. He's a
but Tom Loeffler, that came out of Tom Loeffler's mouth.
Yeah, I think that's gamesmanship. I don't think that's going to happen. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I just don't see that happening.
Well, September, mark it on your calendars. Canelo Alvarez versus Billy Joe Saunders, or Canelo Alvarez versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. number 2.
Or Mayweather McGregor in September 16th. And,
you
and if
can't
that fight
forget about
goes
that,
down,
too.
and let me tell you what, if that fight goes down, yeah, mark September off because those guys are fighting.
What they're doing, and tell me if I'm wrong here, and this is going to be the last thing I'm going to say on the topic because I don't want to keep repeating myself. But what it looks like is they're putting their hands in they're putting their career in Golden Boy's hands, basically. They're allowing Golden Boy to dictate to them what their next move is going to be. They're letting Golden Boy pull the strings for them.
Well, I think they're negotiating in good faith. I think that's what they're doing. I know I wouldn't necessarily say they're pulling the strings. I think they're negotiating in good faith. And the other thing too, is that maybe, hey, that wasn't a cupcake he faced. Golovkin, I'm talking about with Jacobs. That wasn't exactly a cupcake fight there. And maybe he did get a little banged up in that. Maybe he was a little banged up. Maybe he wouldn't have been ready for June. June's, not that far away, So maybe twice a year. He talks about 3 times a year.
Before we get off of Triple G, Danny Jacobs is still out there. They could have a rematch eventually too. So that's another thing to consider.
Well, that's what Sanchez said. They said he was 3 to 4 fights away from a rematch with Jacobs, which I don't really get at all. But
I believe Tom Loeffler. I don't believe Abel Sanchez all the time.
Yeah, I agree with that. So yeah, we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. This was interesting, man. Dominic Breazeale, as you know, he was in that dust up with Deontay Wilder at the hotel, has decided to take matters into his own hands and sue Deontay Wilder. Dominic Breazeale is now going to sue Deontay Wilder. The sums and everything have not been revealed or anything like that. But he's actually brought a lawsuit against Deontay Wilder for their hotel incident that happened. Apparently, he got beat up by Deontay Wilder and his crew. Deontay was shouting obscenities at him, blah blah blah. What do you guys think of this? Do you think that you think you should sue him, or do you think they should try to settle this in the ring, or better yet, do you think it goes that route? Do you think he's suing him, and do you think they say, all right, let's settle it here?
Let's just settle the whole thing in the ring.
I'm going to be honest.
That's where it belongs anyway.
I'm going to be honest. If all those things were accurate and all that stuff was done in front of the children and the wife,
awful.
I would sue.
Yeah, I think I would too.
I would sue.
I would too.
And I would have to fight too.
Yeah, because even if you do get the fight, because what they'll try to do is, if we give you this fight, we want you to drop this lawsuit. I would completely sue him, because that was awful. And if they did that in front of the kids, those kids are going to be scarred for quite a long time, man. That's not something.
That's correct.
That's seriously. That's not cool.
And again, Wilder, as much as he, I like Wilder and he comes off as a real nice guy. He did get in a fight with Charlie Z. I know Charlie Z said some horrible things, but you don't you're a professional boxer. If you're gonna sit there and fight every troll that disrespects you, then that, I mean, come on, man. You don't see look at all the heat Andre Ward gets on social media. You don't see him, meeting people at gyms and fighting them. So right then and there, that in itself shows me that Deontay Wilder, can be triggered somewhat. Right. He needs to check that.
Yeah, I mean, and that Charlie Z guy, I mean, he's the one that fought Mayweather Sr., and he's always trolling guys and everything like that. And whatever, but I mean, he can do whatever he wants, but he baits you that easy. I mean, really, where he had to fly to his gym and I mean, come on, man, really?
I mean, he could have killed that kid.
Very easily. Very.
And then what would have happened? He could have broke his hand. He could have hit him the wrong way and hit him on the top of the head and broke his hand. Then what would have happened? You know what I'm saying? So
Benji in the chat said that body shot though, because apparently I don't know if you saw the video, but Charlie Z claims that he got a body shot on Wilder, and it might have been.
He actually did, but it didn't.
But it wasn't like a good body shot.
But he made contact though. Imagine that. He punched him in the body. He goes, "Oh, you got you the body still."
Yeah, right. That was his whole deal. He got him a body shot.
Imagine being able to still land that shot on Deontay Wilder. You know what I mean?
He's a big guy. He's hard to land body shots on. So hey, I take my hats off to Charlie Z, man. That's for sure. Yeah, because hey, I imagine as big as Wilder is, he's got to be for an average guy. I imagine he's probably hard to hit in the body. I mean, for
Charlie Z lasted. He didn't get counted out in that fight either, baby. Charlie Z went the distance.
That's right. Hey, you went the distance with the Wilder. Only one other person. So there you go.
He ran out of the ring. He ran out of the ring too.
Hey, Charlie Z is our hero, all right?
Let's get Charlie Z on the show.
That's right. Charlie Z. All right. So this week, Ward versus Kovalev kicked off a press tour, a 3-city press tour. Was in Oakland, Vegas, and New York, maybe. I'm not 100%. But
yeah, New York.
Ward, Kovalev promised to end Ward's career. A lot of strong feeling. Let me tell you something, man. Sergey Kovalev doesn't look like he's messing around. He looks legitimately irritated. And I think that's a problem with Ward. I think that's a problem. I don't know if Ward is clearly getting under his skin. But they were facing off, and then Kovalev said a couple words to him and then walked off. And somebody doing the video, and I could hear it in the crowd, said he looks nervous, talking about Kovalev. And I never really thought about it. I don't think he's nervous. I just think that Ward is under his skin, man. And I don't know how good that is going into the rematch.
In defense of Sergey Kovalev, I mean, he's in hostile territory each and every press conference. The crowd's for Ward. So that's going to kind of rattle you a little bit. But the thing that kind of like made me say to myself, what's Kovalev doing? Like he walks away from Ward instead of saying it like when they were face to face, I'm going to end your career.
Yeah.
Like he walks away and mumbles it under his breath. That reminds me like when I was a little kid and my father yelled at me or something. Okay, fuck you, Dad. Under my breath, halfway across the kitchen or something. Like, I mean, if I really wanted my father to hear me, I would have went up to his face and said it to his face. Like, it's like,
right.
It's as if he didn't even want him to hear it. Like, he mumbled it under his breath, walking away. And then Ward's just standing there looking at him like,
He did. He was walking away when he said it too. You're right. I never had to pick that up, but yeah, you're right. I remember that. Yeah, so it'll be interesting, man. Not much really happened in the press conference. Just a lot of, just a normal back and forth and stuff like that, but nothing too major, nothing too out of hand. I did hear that that all three judges, they wanted the three judges from neutral countries, and that apparently got shot down. So yeah, I don't know.
But this is the thing. In order for that to happen, right? Both teams would have to go to the commission and request it. The commission's not going to allow that to happen if only one team goes.
Yeah.
So the commission chooses the judges. So let me. This is the thing. Again, I'm not against neutral judges. Don't get me wrong, and I'm not against Kovalev's team asking for it. But to expect the other team to help you out in the negotiation,
Right.
Why is the other team going to help negotiate? Your case for your
Right.
Try to strengthen your case.
Right.
They're not obligated to do that. And Kathy Dubas sitting there saying, "Oh well, Ward didn't want it." No, I mean obviously it's not. Probably Ward doesn't want it, but why would Ward try to help you out?
Right.
It's not his job to help you out. That's the stupidest thing in the world. Why should he help you out? It's the commission's decision. And not only that, that's how the Las Vegas, the Nevada State Athletic Commission works. They've always operated that way. They've always done things their own way. I mean, this is the capital of the boxing world is Las Vegas. The biggest fights in history have been in Las Vegas, Nevada. So do you think they're going to sit there and be dictated to how they run the show? There's only one person that was able to, dictate things to them, and that was Floyd Mayweather because he brought money to the state of Nevada. Kovalev's not bringing money to the state of Nevada. They're not going to, kowtow to him.
No. Yeah, they're not drawing flies over there, man. You saw their pay-per-view numbers from the last fight. What was it? It was under 200. It was right around 250, maybe. Was that right?
And then on top of that, do you think Nevada? You don't think Nevada's insulted with the inclination of main events and Kovalev that the judges weren't on the up and up? So you think you're going to insult their judges? You're gonna put a black eye on their commission? And then they're going to just sit there and give you what you want after you're basically saying that their judges are crooked?
They can't be fair. Yeah, they can't be fair.
Yeah, why would they? You're implying that their judges basically were on the take. Yep. So they're going to go out of their way to get you special judges after that?
Yeah.
I mean, what do they think? Like, what's going on in their minds? Like, I don't understand. I just don't. What's the plot? I don't understand.
Could be over their head, man. Could be over their head. Who knows? Listen, man, I got some real exciting news. Real exciting. Robert Easter returns to Toledo to face Denis Shafikov. That's right. Robert Easter is returning to his hometown. We call Ohio Title Town. He's going home to Toledo, Ohio. Easter sold out his hometown arena in his last fight against Louis Cruz. Easter battered Cruz for 12 full rounds. Robert Easter will now look to keep his perfect record intact against a very game Denis Shafikov. Let me tell you what, and this is for, I believe it's June 30th or something like June 30th, I believe. This is not a gimme fight, man. This is a really good fight. Shafikov can fight. This is a really good fight. I'm looking forward to maybe going back to Toledo. This is interesting, man, because he sold out that arena last time, man, and a big fight hadn't been to Toledo in quite a while. He sold out that arena. I mean, at least 8,000 to 10,000 people there for sure. So he'll probably do it again. Denis Shafikov is a good fighter, man. So we'll see how it goes. Robert, what are your thoughts on Robert Easter returning to Titletown?
I like the fight, and I think Shafikov will be competitive. Good fight. We'll see what happens.
Well, clearly,
June 30th arrive.
Clearly, Eric has been carrying Easter's water for some time. Upset alert.
There you go. Yep.
That's funny.
You need to be in the corner and give him advice.
That's right. That's right. I'll tell you what, man. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, man. Shafikov is definitely this is not a pushover fight. This isn't Louis Cruz, man. This is going to be a good fight. So Robert Easter better be training hard, man. But he's not going to lose in his hometown. Come on, guys. You don't lose in Titletown. Not a chance. Easter all the way, man.
I didn't say we were going to lose. I said it was going to be a good fight.
See, even Robbie's on it. Even Robert's on it.
I think it's going to be one of those fights where each round is going to be hard fought. But I think, when the points are all added up, Robert Easter's going to have a comfortable victory.
Yeah.
I mean, Shafikov is a hard worker and stuff, but I mean, I don't think he's on Easter's level in terms of boxing ability.
No, I don't think so either. No way. All right, Beeb. It's time.
Brianna, it's time
Bring
for
her
the
in.
choo-choo. Let's go. You're gonna miss it. I don't want you to get upset this time. Get in. Do the chugga. You can do it. Here, grab the mic. Do it.
The train wreck.
Do it.
Chugga, 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 chugga. Choo, choo.
There
All
you
right.
go. The train wreck of the week.
All right.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Adrian Broner calls Floyd Mayweather the B word. Adrian Broner just reignited his beef with Floyd Money Mayweather, calling the Money Man the B word. It's all over. It's all over his relationship with rising boxing superstar Gervonta Davis. Apparently, this broke out like this, man. Apparently, Gervonta Davis called out Adrian Broner. Why he called him out, I don't know. Broner apparently took the challenge as an insult, sign of disrespect, claiming that he and Davis are pals and that alleging that Floyd tricked the kid into making the challenge. And you can watch the video. We got the video posted on ringsidereporter.com. You can go watch the video, and he calls Floyd the B word, and just that basically it's a minute long, and it's just a profanity-based tirade throughout. So enjoy yourself. Incidentally, Floyd Mayweather put up his own video with him and Broner basically making up. The two are both, called him out for it, and they both make up, so they'll be BFFs again, so we can all sleep well tonight. Robert, what do you think about that? What do you think about Adrian Broner and our train wreck of the week? It is called the Adrian Broner train wreck of the week because he has been on more train wrecks of the week than
he's won the award more than anybody else in history. Just remind me,
golden train trophy for this
going
guy.
at it all the time.
You know what we should do? We should get like a wrecked train, just a smashed in train, like gold, and give it to Adrian Broner as our train wreck of the week forever.
Yeah.
What would we do without Adrian Broner week after week screwing up? I don't know.
It's awful.
That's right. Trey Lippy Morrison, Robert's favorite, is forced to withdraw from his June 9th fight with a broken hand.
Robert's favorite. That's awesome.
What about that,
And
Robert?
you know that June 9th is the next Showbox card. So once again, he blows his chance of being on TV.
Robert's always railing against that guy. But you're right, though, man. You're right. That's the second Showbox that he's missed, and that's a big deal. And they're coming to Miami, Oklahoma, and I didn't even know there was such a place as Miami, Oklahoma, but apparently there is.
Me neither.
If you're gonna go to Miami, man, I tell you what, that's not the Miami I want to go to.
Miami, Oklahoma.
Yeah, right.
That's right.
Spent a week there one night. But yeah, that's a great point, Robert. This is the second Showbox that he's pulled out of. And it's in Miami, Oklahoma. What else is there? I mean, are they going to keep coming back? I mean, it's like, dude, come on, man.
Showtime's going to get sick of this act and say the next time he wants to be on, they're going to say, forget it, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough, man. But he broke his hand, so there's not much you can do about it, I guess. And Beeb.
Yes, sir.
It's been made. It is official. I can't believe I'm about to say this. And this really should have headlined, honestly, the news and rumors section. Manny Pacquiao versus Jeff Horn is official for July 1st.
Are you serious?
Right?
It's done?
Fight of the year.
Really?
Fight of the year. What's bigger? Let me ask you this.
Wow.
Is Canelo versus Triple G bigger than this fight?
That's close, but not. It's close, but not really.
Is Mayweather versus McGregor bigger than this fight? I don't think so.
It's a tie. It's a tie.
Tie. Yeah, I think you're probably right, man. I think for pay-per-view dollars, do you think this goes into the 4 or 5 million category?
No.
Oh, not Robert Silver.
I can't play longer. I can't play longer.
You sure can't.
I can't. I'm gonna rupture my spleen. Stop.
Australia. I mean, my God, this is no. There ain't no. This is
Robbie's so funny.
Disgusting.
Look how Robbie plays his little part of seriousness throughout the madness.
What do you think of Bob Arum putting this on?
He's a fucking mental case, is what he is.
Oh God,
that's right.
Can't say that.
That's right.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, it's gonna be in Australia, and we in the States are gonna have to pay for this crap. Give me a break.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, let me ask you this in all seriousness. Who gets more buys? Manny Pacquiao, Jeff Horn, or the top-ranked card this weekend?
Manny Pacquiao, Jeff Horn, just because everybody knows who Manny Pacquiao is. Nobody, unless you're boxing idiots like us, know who these people are that's fighting this weekend.
How much is that pay-per-view going to be now? I hope that's not going to be a $70 pay-per-view.
$70? It's going to be $70. $10. I got $10.
Yeah,
it's going to be $70.
$75.
Yeah, you know it's going to be that.
Contract? Are you serious?
HBO will air it. Benji, HBO is going to air it. It's going to be on pay-per-view. Trust me.
It'll be on pay-per-view.
It's on pay-per-view. Trust me.
If HBO airs it, they're going to get aired out.
Let me tell you what. If HBO airs it, I still might not watch it. All right, so let's talk a little bit about next week, man. Let's talk a little bit about next week. Now, let me ask you, Beeb. I'll ask you straight out. The Joshua fight we'll preview next week. Will there be, because I've been getting asked, a lot of people have been asking me, is he going to do a Beating the Odds with Beeb segment on Joshua versus Klitschko?
I'll do it, yes.
Are you going to give the people what they want?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. There you go. You heard it here first. Beeb is going to give the people what they want next week when we do a Beating the Odds of Beeb versus Anthony Joshua and Wladimir Klitschko.
We're going to really dip into the piggy bank for this one, man. We're putting all Beeb industry stock on it. Oh, I can't even say it right now.
You can't even say it.
I'm going to ruin it.
You're taking Klitschko.
But this is going to be the mother of all bets. The mother of all bets.
The mother of all bets.
You may see me.
MOAB, the mother of all bets.
You may see me in a peach basket with a tin cup after this one if we don't win.
And then also, too, just to let you guys know, April 29th on HBO, it will air at 10:45 p.m. That's Joshua versus Klitschko. So our speculation is, we don't have it confirmed just yet, but our speculation is that the fight will be on live probably about 6 o'clock on Showtime live. So that's speculation. So HBO will probably pick it up on the delay.
Or maybe even earlier than that. So stay tuned.
Yeah, it'll probably be, you know how the UK cards are. They'll say it's at 5 and then it's not till like 6:45 or something like that. Eddie Hearn never has his cards going off on time, which I don't understand. But
I mean, he's the best promoter in boxing. I mean, stop nitpicking.
He can't even get his cards right, son. He can't.
Don't nitpick him. Don't nitpick.
Son. Can't even get him right. Can't even get him off on time. What a professional.
That's why he doesn't want to come on this show, because you trash him so much.
Be there, brother.
You trash him too much. I called him up. I tried to get him on. He didn't want to come on because you trash him so much.
I try. Hey, you know what? Hey, I tell it like it is. Eddie Hearn. Tell it like it is. He's a wank.
Yeah.
I told you he's a wank. This might be him calling now. It's a restricted number. Could be Eddie Hearn. I don't know.
No.
You're live. You're live on Ringside Reporter.
Hello there. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. Am I on the air?
Yes, you are.
Hello. Go ahead.
I'd just like to say you totally don't sound Hispanic and nigger.
What's that?
Oh my God.
I didn't hear it. I didn't understand it. What is this?
That was a troll call, Eric. You don't want to understand it.
Uh-oh. We're getting troll calls. Hey, we must be getting pretty big to get troll calls. So there you go. How about that? Beeb, that's our first troll call. How about that?
Hey. We have it all on video.
That's right. That's right. But if you're going to troll us, at least talk clearly. Talk clearly so we can understand you. Don't mumble and I can't.
What's this world coming to when radio shows get prank calls? You have to be really. You must be really bored in your life that you have to prank a radio show.
Right.
Let me dedicate 3 minutes of my life to pranking of
because you had to be on hold. I mean, you had to be on hold. Yeah. Exactly.
3 minutes.
Yeah, you on hold.
Mark that down on my calendar.
How bad is that? But how bad is that though? Like seriously, like you call in, and they can't even understand. You probably got this great line. You're like, I'm gonna own him, and you got this line, and nobody understands what you're saying.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
Got a weak prank game on them, huh?
I know, right? I know.
Gotta practice that up.
Step up your game if you're gonna do it right.
Oh, well, she was trying. I mean, let's give her some credit for trying.
Yeah.
Give her some credit for that. There you go.
Hey, she's probably Amanda Serrano's opponent.
Oh,
you can't say that, Robbie. Please.
Come on. Somebody Benji in the chat says Pac Horn was a prank too. He said, I wish Pac Horn was a prank too. Trust me, we all wish Pacquiao and Jeff Horn was a prank, man.
I wish it was, but it's signed, sealed, and delivered for July 1st.
There you go.
No, it's not.
Pay-per-view on July 1st.
Pay-per-view.
All right, so that'll do it, man, for this edition.
What a way to celebrate Independence Day, right?
There you go. In Australia. There it is,
Yeah.
That'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Robert on Twitter at Ringside Robert, or you can call him at Ringside Robbie's Corner. Maybe prank him on Ringside Robbie's Corner, 773-572-7781, and leave him a message. You can catch Joe Habib on Twitter.
I know, that's the wrong number, Eric.
Oh, well, give it to me. I thought I had it. I copied it from last show.
917-259-1810.
259-1810. You heard it from the man himself. There you go. All right. I am now updating that number. All right. You can catch Joe Habib at Twitter.
I thought you already did that.
Well, I thought I already did too. All right. Just relax. You can catch Jay Habib.
All right.
On Twitter at jhabib1 and find his YouTube channel at www.beatingtheoddswithbeeb.com. Beeb, you haven't changed anything there, right? That's all accurate information.
No, I keep it simple.
I'm at Ringside 73. I keep it simple too. And we'll see you next week.
All right, guys, take it easy.